Since getting the Grey Gurnard at the start of July, I realised I had not circumnavigated any of the major islands off the west coast of Scotland. However, it was not for lack of trying. Windy weather kept blowing my plans away. Then a calm spell arrived with winds blowing from the north-east, 5 miles per hour gusting to 10 miles per hour, and my plans were made. A day trip around the island of Arran, with an overnight camp in the Isles of Bute, a distance of 70 miles, then return to Largs the following morning for a total of 90 miles round trip. The forecast was for full sun for the day and light winds. However, it was overcast when I launched the boat at high tide around 8:30 in the morning. It looked much brighter further south, and I was delighted there was no wind, so I was looking forward to a gentle cruise around Arran. I happily set a steady cruising speed of around 16 miles an hour, estimating that it would take me around 5 hours to reach the camping spot in the Isles of Bute. I was thoroughly enjoying the moment, and only planned for a quick stop off the Blackwaterfoot on the southwest coast of Arran. The village of Millport on the island of Greater Cumbria warmed in the early morning sun. I happily headed down the Fairley Roads channel on a smooth sea surface. However, over to my right, the Ayrshire coastline looked quite ominous under a dark cloud. I also couldn't help noticing, but the hills of Arran were also lost in a thick cloud. Not that it bothered me in the slightest, as the forecast was for full sun all day and light winds, so I presumed things could only brighten, and the sea was certainly calm enough as I set course directly for the Holy Isle, crossing 13 miles of open water. Anytime will do, I don't mind. Why should I be frightened of dying? There's no reason for it. You gotta go sometime. Despite the optimistic forecast, a nasty squall had crossed from Ayrshire coast and had been blowing the boats southwards. The sea at the south of Arran was far from smooth, and I could now see heavy overfalls off the island of Plada. So I opted for a course which I considered was the lesser of two evils. I chanced going through the shallow sound of Plada in a choppy sea. I know from previous trips that granite dikes extend far into the sea, and there are also numerous rocks to catch an unwary propeller. The tide had been falling for 2 hours, so I guess there should just be enough water to see me safely through. I kept a constant eye on the depth sounder, which regularly said depths of 4 feet, and at times I saw seaweed much less than that, but I made it through safely. I was now in the shelter of the island, so the sea was calm again and the full sun came out. Happy days indeed. I moved closer inshore to have a look at Binnon Cave and its lovely scenic waterfall, before continuing on my way to Blackwater Foot. It was a totally different day round here. Full sun with light winds, and I was making the most of it. It didn't take long to reach Blackwater Foot, where I landed at Drummadoon Point to take my morning break. I enjoyed the sun and the silence of the sands for half an hour, then it was back to sea for me, heading northward up the Kilbrannan Sound, passing the cave where King Robert the Bruce counted the spiders making webs. Crossing Macquarie Bay as the last of the clouds cleared the Arran Hills. The rolling rhythmic swell of the Kilbrannan Sound stopped me from falling asleep on this now idyllic day. So I was wide awake passing Purnmill Bay. And just when I thought I'd seen the last of the wind for the day, it started to blow again. The infamous Kilbrannan Sound was beginning to kick up big time for such a lovely calm day. And for the first time since setting off, I had to drop onto displacement speeds. Of course, I knew I was now near the top of Arran, with an 8-mile open sea crossing before reaching the shelters of the Kyles of Bute. As such, I decided to pull into Loch Ranza and put on my dry suit, just in case it was going to be a wet crossing. However, just as quickly as the sea got up, it died away again, and I enjoyed a fast and relatively smooth crossing to the mainland. It took me a total of 6 hours from leaving Largs in the morning to landing in Bute opposite Tinnabruach, which is a total of around 70 miles. Not too bad a time for such a mixed weather day. I set up camp, then enjoyed a well-deserved afternoon snooze in the sun. I then spent the evening perched on a rock beside the seashore, drinking tins of Guinness and scoffing burgers from a barbecue, totally immersed in my surroundings. Then eventually I got bored and went to bed. The following morning was overcast and windless, but to my great surprise and delight, there was not a midge in sight. After a leisurely breakfast, I dismantled camp and repacked the boat, then set up off the Isles of Bute. Although I'm a regular to this run, I never tire of going through the lovely Isles of Bute, and even the crossing back to Largs is most enjoyable. Thus ends another adventure. Thanks for watching.